Merry Christmas!
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
This is your host, Chris.
No! God, please, no! No!
I know, I'm sorry, but he's cheap and available.
How rude.
Indeed, but just remember that, ladies. I am very, very cheap and always available. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, depending where you are watching us from. Welcome along to the last day of 2022. Who can remember 12 months ago, sat here thinking, God, next year's got to be better, hasn't it? Was it? Hope it was for you. I can't honestly say that it was for me, but I hope it was for you. I'd like to say thank you to Brad for providing me with a video of Santa dancing there. He thinks he's Jesus Christ, and he's not quite. So Father Christmas is the nearest thing he gets to it. Mind you, that might be because, of course, we all know Santa Claus only comes once a year. Good afternoon, Brad. How are you?
Well, I was all right till you made that introduction for me, mate.
But you always empty your sack, though, don't you?
Well, we're not at the watershed. I can't say why, but yes.
Oh, did you have a good Christmas, sir?
I did, mate. It was a nice, relaxed one. As you know, I'm down south with family, so yeah, I've enjoyed it, mate.
I can tell from the suntan.
I know, right? You can tell, can't you? You can probably tell I've still got the Santa look with my chubby cheeks going there. Definitely indulge myself.
You've got the brisk, fresh air, shall we say?
Well, definitely.
If you were here, you'd be wet through from the bloody rain because it's all it's done all holiday. But still got a bit of time to go. And before that, just tell everybody where they can find you. Your link, as always, because obviously you're regular on the channel, co-presenter, is always in the description on YouTube. But just give a shout out to your channel.
Yeah, cheers. You can find me on Twitter. That's the best place to follow me. My Twitter handle is @fulltimefocus. It's all one word. There's no hyphen. So follow me on Twitter on there. And YouTube channel is Top 10 Battles, where we do all things top 10 over there. I've got a couple of hosts that join me on there. You may know them, maybe in the comments, Dan and Anthony, and they give me their top 10s on a particular subject. There is a football quiz coming up. So if you're interested in doing a football quiz, contact me on Twitter because I've got a top 10 special football quiz that I've started. I can't win them, Chris, so I might as well host them.
I was going to say, I was hiding behind before you asked to get your own back because you're always coming on my quizzes.
I know. It's the only way I get all the answers right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that because even when I bloody host them, I get some of them wrong.
Yeah. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, bloody Wikipedia, I'll tell you. Usually Manchester City. But good luck with that. And that's a quiz. Is it the same as the one you recently did, along the top 10 battles idea?
Yeah. So basically, the questions will either include or involve the number 10. It's a bit of fun wordplay sometimes. Like one of the questions I had was like, what position? I've already done an Arsenal one. And I think one of my questions for Anthony was, on the 10th of the 10th, 2010, what position were Arsenal? So you get the gist. It's a bit of fun way to include the title in the questions, but it's gets your brain going. So
That's a good job you're not having me on then.
God, I've already had answers that don't make sense for the questions I asked, so we're all up for it.
Good afternoon, Mike. He says, hi, Chris, and happy New Year's Eve, and the same to you, sir. We always share the new year in at home. How about yourself? I'm off to the next door neighbours. Literally, I could go outside my door is as close to the neighbours as I am to Brad now. Literally, the doors are next to each other. So, but how pissed I am, I can easily get home. And don't say anything, Brad. Our family's round. So do not.
Okay.
Mind you, I don't think they're into that sort of thing. But Brad is. What are you doing for this evening, Brad? I mean, I know you're in the nice club spot of the south in St Ives. You know what stays in St Ives. What goes on in St Ives stays in St Ives, of course. But what are you doing?
Well, it certainly doesn't. It's St Ives. It's the gossip capital down there. But no, probably going out for a few pre-drinks with some of the family, and then I'll probably just become a granddad and come home and put my feet up, to be honest with you, and fall asleep before the new year starts.
To be honest with you, I said, since I'm older than you, but New Year's Eve out doesn't really appeal to me. You know, you're paying to get into pubs that the rest of the year are free.
Yeah.
That you're then queuing at the bar an hour just to get a beer. By the time you got it back to your chair, if you've been able to get a chair, half of it's gone because it's ended up down the front of your clothes, whatever you're wearing. Somebody said to me, because we're having fireworks down here, we always do on New Year's Eve, and we said, you're going to go watch the fireworks? I thought, good luck with that. It's been pissing down all day. They'll be wet through. They won't be going off anywhere. But hey, we've got a match. We're not going to talk about that match because that happened, that's gone, and we've played another match since then, thank God. So we can forget about talking about that one, but we will be talking Liverpool in a few minutes. We do want to touch on a few pieces of news. And apparently we've made an offer for the Moroccan midfielder. And you know what's he called, Brad?
He's called Moroccan's midfield starlight midfielder. That's what I know him as. His name gets you a lot of points on the Scrabble board. I can tell you that.
It does. Well, it's got a double Z in it. Azzedine Owanu.
We'll just call him Azza. Can we just call him Azza for sure?
Azza. That's it. Exactly. Dead on. Azza. They're talking 27 million. It's in the Mercury. Leicester City make transfer offer for 27 million. World Cup standout. He's coming from Algiers, so he's French. Well, he's not French. He's Moroccan, but you know, it's a league that we plunder very well. The past few years. I'm just wondering, buying players on one tournament.
Yeah. It's very hit and miss. I know that's an obvious saying, but it is. I mean, there was, I think there was a Polish striker a few years ago. But I think it was at the Russia World Cup. Milik, I think his name's pronounced. And he missed out on a move, and then he tailed off afterwards. And obviously, you get some that are superstars, and they shine. But I trust our scouting system. I don't think this is something that they would have just. They've been doing their homework on someone like him for a while. And I think, unfortunately, whether it's January or the summer, it's probably business in mind for the next 6 months, because we're no doubt losing one, if hopefully not, but one, if not two, of our key players in that area. So it's good if we can get that deal done.
It is. It is. I could say, what was he called? We signed a Polish winger on the back of an excellent Euro.
Oh, Bartosz Kaputska. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one. And I mean, just look what happened to him, so to speak. And in fairness, they did get to the semi-finals, so he didn't just have like a couple of games. Is he that right winger? Is he a right winger?
I believe he can play across the midfield.
Yeah, he does play in one of three key positions being targeted by Brendan Rodgers. So he made it clear he's looking at a left back, centre back, and right winger. He didn't say he was looking at it all in one player, though.
Well, no, but he does. I mean, to give credit to Brendan, he does like his players to be versatile. It's become quite a
Yeah.
A good trait that a lot of managers want, don't they, as well? It's not just Leicester. Other managers want a player that can do more than just one role. We fucking need one if we're going to keep playing a left and right winger.
Yes, we do. We do. The problem, I think, whoever goes into that position are always going to be, it's not as good as Mahrez. Oh, remember when Mahrez? And you've got that albatross around your neck, haven't you, in that position?
Yeah, but I think the majority, I have to say majority, because with what we were discussing just before we came live, but the majority of Leicester fans have a bit of patience because we've had a few players like that, not just recently, over our entire history, but it's like you could say the same about Vardy. We know that people are going to have a weight of expectation that when he retires, Daka or Iheanacho or both suddenly are going to have to score 20 goals a season in some people's eyes, and when they're not, they're going to be not as good. It's just part and parcel of football. But let's hope, if we bring them in, you've got to give them a chance to settle and become a success.
David says there, hello, good afternoon, David. He can play across midfield, but he isn't an expert right winger, to be honest. Versatility is okay, but I think we need an expert in one.
Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat from last year.
That, to be honest with you, is making me sick thinking that we could have got him. He wanted to come. You did say Lookman, didn't you, in the middle of all that?
Yes. That is what I said.
And I get sick at the thought of that we didn't get him. But apparently now we're after the player that he replaced.
Yeah, which I think is unfortunate because I think, from the words and what Brendan was saying in and around the early stages of the summer transfer, there was a lot of reports and a lot of words specifically about trying to get 15 to 16 million. 14 to 16 million free. He was practically praying and on his knees to see if he could prize something away on the promise that we'd sell a player to make up that loss, but the owners wouldn't budge on that one, and that's why we missed out on Lookman. There's a little part of me that would love us to kind of go in for him in the summer, but Brendan said he Adam Owner is a player that needs to set a club, and as much as I'd like to have him back, if we get his secondary, I'm not too fussed with that. I agree with the comment that's just come up that you just put up there, Chris. We do need an expert because fuck me, I'm not relying on Perez. I am not relying on Perez as a backup.
Oh, you didn't see what Julian said after the Newcastle game then? He was actually quite praising Perez. Don't worry, he's never coming back on the channel again. Don't worry. He knew that as soon as he said it. He said, "You're not going to have me back on now, are you?" Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I did say to a lot of Newcastle fans who were saying they were going to get Maddison, and I went, any deal that they make for Maddison includes taking Perez back. that's got to be cast in stone.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, if we're going to lose Maddison in January to him, that's the only way it's happening. Perez goes with him for free.
That was what I was saying. That was what I was mentioning. Well, I could say this: Uwana, or Azza, as we're going to call him if we sign him. I think he was being looked at as a possible Tielemans replacement. I don't want to get into Tielemans because who knows what's happening with that. But I do want to touch on Maddison, having just mentioned him there. I mean, the Newcastle fans, well, some of them, not all of them, because most of them are pretty decent, but a small minority of Newcastle fans were probably creaming themselves when they saw he wasn't in the team to play them. I mean, I don't get it. He was declared fit by Leicester after the West Ham game to go to the World Cup. He was declared fit by the England medical team to go to the World Cup. I get it. He was injured for the first couple of games. He wasn't quite right, so he didn't play. And then when it came to the third game, of course, he wasn't match. He wouldn't have been match fit, or because he'd only had a day of training or something. So I get him missing all the group games. Then we get to the next games, and you've got the arguments. Well, he should have played. He shouldn't have played. But that aside, he had that. He was in the squad. He was on the subs bench for those two games. So you're technically thinking he's okay. He had a week's holiday in Dubai afterwards, and then he's come back injured. I mean, what the hell is going on with him?
Well, firstly, Maddison for a good 3 years now has always seemed to suffer with niggly injuries. He's especially with his knees. He has a lot of problems with his knees. Now, at this moment in time, I'm quite deaf, but some Leicester fans maybe need to either You say what? No, but some Leicester fans may want to go and either rewatch, and I know it's daunting, but rewatch the either pre-match or post-match Newcastle Brendan Rodgers things, because Rodgers was asked a question and the journalist pretty much worded it like you did, saying he's come back from the World Cup, he was fit, I know he didn't play, but why is he not in the team? He's actually done another injury to his knee. He felt he was training, but Brendan's words were pretty much he was training, everything was fine, and then he felt something, and that's why he went to see a specialist. So he was fit on his return from England duty. It just seems to be like it's been for the past 3 years. It's an unfortunate reoccurring knee injury that he's just not getting over.
It's a fair point. I'm just so glad we have got this multi-million-pound training centre with an amazing health and fitness place, because we bloody need it. You know, you look at the injuries that we've got, and how many of these injuries. I mean, he's come back from the World Cup, he's been training, and he gets injured. What is he doing, Brendan Rodgers, in training? And he has got a reputation. And I think it shocked Fofana when he was still with us, when he first came over, how intense the training is. We've got half the fucking team out injured all the time. And it's not all necessarily, I know a lot of the time it is down to matches, but it isn't always. What is he doing to them?
I don't know. And Leicester aren't the only club that get criticised. There's a lot of situations with other clubs that are saying the intensity levels, the way they're being trained, it's such a different game now compared to what it was like, especially even as little as back as in like the early 90s and 2000s. The training intensity and the work they do is unreal, and I don't know why they keep it at that level, because it's clearly not benefiting anybody, because you're missing key players and you're missing your depth players.
Indeed, I agree. Just quickly moving through some of the players that our contract is up, and there's 3 I really want to talk about. I'll start with Amati. They're talking to him. I would hope that he is given a new contract.
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of people are his biggest critic, and I kind of agree to a way that I'm not in the ascendancy or the delusion that he's like a good quality centre back. You know, he's never going to be up there in the upper echelons of centre backs, but he is definitely vital to the squad, because when the chips have been down, when there's no Evans, when there's been no French Judas Frog called Fofana, he's had to step in.
Who's injured again? What a shame.
Well, yeah. Oh, my heart bleeds.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And he cops a lot of slack, but these fans that give him a lot of stick, and he took a lot of stick off some fans for the performance against Liverpool, which I don't think he did too bad, to be honest with you. They don't seem to come out cheering his name when he's making last-ditch tackles and keeping the score to 0. So I feel sorry for him, and I hope he gets a deal.
Yeah, and as you know, last season, I'm not sure if you did, I know I went for him to be my most improved player. And, you know, for me, he went from oh my God, why has he picked Amati, to thank God Amati's in. Mike go. His visitors have arrived. Happy New Year, mate. Have a good one. Yeah, like you say, don't drink too much and don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Doesn't leave a lot to be desired, does it?
Exactly. And David says, Ria Marty, I think he is good to very good, depending on his centre-back partner. Yeah, we've said the same about Soyuncu, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think you need, like you said, Brad, he isn't going to be, a Robert Huth.
No.
But he's going to be somebody that you need. If you've got two centre-backs and you want a third one that you can rely on to come in and do a job, that's a Marty. That's a
exactly.
Marty. Dude, that's a Marty.
That's I like that. I like that. That's
See what I did there. I tickled myself, that one. But, I mean, I will mention it because it made me laugh. When I was picking my team the other night, I did the preview show with Doug, and I picked the teams that I would put out. And I put Thomas at left back purely because I got his brother bloody choice. And somebody said, like, he had a horror show. And it's always interesting because, again, with Julian Watts, the Leicester City defender, he actually thought Luke Thomas had a good game against Newcastle, as much as anybody had in the team. But I put Luke Thomas, and he actually, this guy turned and said, "Oh no, you can't put Luke Thomas. He's rubbish. Blah blah blah. What the hell are you putting him there for? Put a Marty there." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. Did you mistype that?"
Because a Marty is a centre back, right back, centre defensive midfield. He's never played on the left.
No, and when we had him, I said, when we had you on the left. When we had him on the left at the start, we had him on the left of the back two, we were losing. He wasn't very good because he can't play that role. And now you want to go and put him at left back. It did make me laugh. But no, Marty is one I hope does re-sign. Evans, now then. Good Evans, Johnny Evans. He's 35. He's injured that much. He's got a suite booked at the Leicester Royal Infirmary. They keep it clear for him. He's obviously not getting any younger. That's a bit of a Michael Owen statement, but he isn't. And a bit like Jamie Vardy, when you were younger and you're out and you come back after 2 or 3 weeks, now it's a month and a half. Can we afford to have a captain and our main, which he is if he stays, our main centre-back choice hardly ever playing a game?
No, I don't think you can. It's not ideal. I think the only thing that kind of sits on Johnny Evans' side is if you look at how Leicester have done business over the last 3 or 4 seasons, we always say and I know we've changed goalkeeper now, but if you were saying back in the day, it was you had Andy King, you had Vardy, you had Hoover Morgan and Schmeichel, but the rest of the team were fairly young because we were producing youngsters and buying quite young talent. I think the only benefit you get from giving someone like Johnny Evans maybe a year extension, and I would only say a year extension, and maybe a possibility of a coaching role offered to him afterwards, is purely for his experience. You want him to kind of maybe do a Wes Morgan. Because Wes Morgan spent about 2.5 years as captain and played like 40 minutes throughout the season. I think he got more time in the FA Cup final than he did throughout the season. Sorry, did I cheer at that point? But you see what I mean? That's the only reason I would give him a contract.
I see where you're coming from. To me, keep him on in some capacity because of his experience. And again, Neil from Beyond the 90 shot me down when he said, well, he can't do any coaching because you've got to get your badges first. I said, yeah, but if we keep him while he's going for his badges, then he can hang around the club, he can pick things up, which I'm sure he knows a lot anyway. He's got the experience. He can maybe help out with the youngsters whilst he's getting his badges. But, we're paying him a lot more money as a player and he's hardly playing. And I just don't think, I would not give him a new contract now. I would try and keep him on in some form. But no, I wouldn't. I'd sooner have him on the coaching staff, in fairness, than Wes Morgan.
Well, to be fair, I'd rather. I was just about to make a similar comparison, saying he can't do no worse than Kolo Touré did. Look how well his managerial career is going. So, yeah.
I don't know how's he doing this weekend. I haven't seen him.
They haven't won a game, and Leicester fans, they've conceded, I believe, 3 set-piece goals. And he's only been in charge for 2 games, I think. Maybe 3.
Maybe Brendan's keeping his seat warm.
Yeah, well.
Talking about defenders, the last one before we go on to the game, Kagler Soyuncu. Now,
strange one.
I wanted, as soon as we signed Vase and we knew Fofana was going, I really wanted to see Soyuncu and Faze together.
Yeah.
If only to see them both go up for a header and get their hair tangled. Somebody had to come on with a pair of scissors to cut it. But then again, I wanted to see Vardy and Inacho together when we signed that, and that very rarely happens. Apparently, he's not good enough for Leicester. He hasn't got the right attitude for Leicester. And yet, regular Champions League quarter-finalists Atletico Madrid think he's going to be good enough for them. Rogers, what is going on with him?
I don't know, because I've always been on the opposite end of the scale to you when it comes to Soyuncu, or Soyuncu, as our Brendan calls him. Because I cannot fathom that there's no smoke without fire, because he is the only player that consistently gets randomly linked with a team. It was Inter Milan, it was Real Madrid, now it's Atletico Madrid. I'm just waiting for the Sydney Warriors to come in for him and just completely mess it up. I don't know, and I don't want to speculate too much, but you don't know who he confides in terms of agent and that, and you don't know what they're getting, because you do see it, and you saw it in his performances when his head gets turned or his confidence gets shot, which we discussed, when he had that torrid Euros and had a torrid time going. I don't see a future here for Soyuncu anymore. That baffles me, considering how he was in the first couple of seasons with us. The problem is I'd never see him playing without Faze, because they're too dissimilar. The reason we like Amati so much is because he's like, I need someone to be a bit more calmer, someone that's going to sit back just in case it goes wrong in their own half, that can try and mop it up whilst Faze goes forward and attacks and comes out of position. If you've got Soyuncu and Faze on the same team, you've got 2 ball-playing centre-backs, and that's where chaos ensues, because they'll both find themselves on the halfway line. They'll both find themselves getting beat with ball over the top, and then they're chasing back, and it's a defender's worst nightmare. So for me, unless Brandon's suddenly going to, kick Wout Faze when he's down, I just don't see Soyuncu playing. And I agree in the fact that Soyuncu is better enough. He's good enough to go somewhere and be a starter. I don't think offering him a contract just to sit on the bench and play a bit part is fair on him, or potentially any youngster coming through, because we've got a few centre backs that we've been talking about over the last season and a bit that are coming through and we're seeing out on loan. So I just don't know where that's come from, that suddenly he's in talks of a contract.
Well, it's on. There's very few sites you're gonna, I believe, to be honest with you, but I suppose the Mercury is one that is.
Well, Brendan did say it himself. This is from the horse's mouth, so this is a lot more solid, because Brendan did say it himself that him and Amati are in talks for a new deal. So,
yeah, no, and Amati, hopefully, I'm just thinking when we've got money, we're struggling to have money to spend on players, although obviously we've got some left over from the Judas sale. But when we've got a good defense, and he is good. He came back from Turkey, having had that bad Euros. His confidence was shot, and you get that with players. You do, it happens, even with the best. And yet, the season after that, when he came back from the Euros, the whole team had a bad season. Not just him. And he's not been given the chance, I don't think, to build his confidence back up since then. It's like, did we say let's drop Danny Ward after all those goals were going in at the start of the season? No, because he's not a one-man player. And as bad as the defence did the season before, it wasn't just Soyuncu. It was the whole defence. So I would like to keep him, but there we go. We will see. We will see what happens. If he goes, I wish him all the best.
Yeah, I just wonder if their idea is to try and get someone like that tied up for a 2-year deal, so they can make 15 million off him in the summer. Maybe that's like because sometimes these players do it. We saw it with Maguire. He signed a new deal so we could get money for him. Maybe we'll find out. Time will tell.
It will. It will. And Jordan is in. Good afternoon, Jordan. How are you? Beat us 2-1, but we had to score all the goals for you. How sad that?
Christmas, we're generous like that.
We are. Okay, and to the gentleman who's popped in from Twitch offering me to buy followers, walk off in short, jerky movements. Right, we're going to be talking Liverpool.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
What a weird game, Brad. What a very, very weird game. And I've got to be honest with you, credit to Doug, because he did the watch along with me, and he didn't gloat at all. And a lot of the Liverpool fans that I've spoken to haven't gloated. And I'm not having a dig at Liverpool here, but if they've beaten us and we've had to score both their goals for them, and they've got the players that they've got, the striker they've got, or the strikers in Núñez, in Salah, and it was 2 own goals. What does it say about the Liverpool team if we've got to do that for them?
Well, it says quite a lot. And although it did get posted, but the thing that I shared didn't show my article part, I pretty much said that to the BBC. And you know what? I've read their reports, they take from fans, and the Liverpool fans were even saying the same, Chris. They were saying Liverpool fans were saying we were so lucky. Leicester deserved something from the game. We were poor. Van Dijk's come out and criticised their performance despite winning. Yeah. And you know what? It's that old cliche in football. You never like to lose, but if you're going to lose and play like that, you can almost tolerate it a little bit. And that game was just summed it up. I mean, if you told me before kickoff, Brad, Leicester are going to score 3 goals and lose, I was waiting for a 5-3 or 4-3. Not a wild-faced double and a 2-1 defeat.
If you scored a third own goal, would it have counted as a hat-trick? Or if you'd got one at the other end? I'm not sure how it works out.
Well, it'd have been the most unfortunate hat-trick. But there was a part of me, Chris, that was like 94 minutes, get a corner, and have him do the redemption. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be, I'm afraid.
It wasn't, unfortunately. You're quite right. But I said this in the watch along, because I had a lot of people coming on and having a pop about FaZe, and I was very critical of him after the Newcastle game, but only on the Newcastle game. I'm not saying that he was a bad player. He had a bad game, but then again, a lot of players did against Newcastle. But at least he was getting in that position. 9 times that, he could not. If you said to him, "Here's the ball," and 100 times cross it in and try and score that first goal again, he wouldn't be able to.
No, he wouldn't.
And the second one, I can remember Jeff Schlupp getting one of those just before, I think, the Great Escape, where it hit the post.
Against Tottenham.
Yeah, yes, it was. It was. So I don't think I can blame. I can't fault FaZe, for either of those 2 goals. I think he was just very unlucky, and it's hard because he was at least making an attempt to clear the ball. Yeah,
he was, and I'm with you. I sympathise for him a great deal. I've been having a few chats with a few Leicester fans about it, and I'm a little bit. You have to look at the core of the problems, and it's the only way that first goal happens. Yes, it's a freak of deflection. It's off the outside of its boot. It's one of them you literally say could have gone anywhere. And the way Leicester's luck is at the moment, it looped into the back of the net, unfortunately.
And it had to go in off the post as well.
Yeah, and it's not. It's not like the post helps us out. The posts are about as kind as the officials, but we won't talk about that. No. But no, I did feel sorry for him. My only concern I have, and I think a few people maybe in the comments, I know a few Leicester fans share the same concern as me, is I'm not questioning whether Danny Ward shouts or not, but not for the first time this season. A defender makes a block or a clearance like that without it being an own goal, and Danny Ward's yelling at them, and they turn around, look at him, bemused, and go, "I can't hear you. You're not." I just wonder if Danny Ward maybe lacking a bit of self-confidence. I know he looked and seemed a lot more confident when we went on that lovely run of form before the World Cup. But I just wonder if he's lacking a bit of self-belief in himself, because it's like he goes to shout and seems like he's speaking very clearly, but it cannot be a coincidence that the likes of Ndidi and Marte, Wout Faes, and probably others that I just didn't notice because the camera wasn't concentrating on them, that have turned around and gone at Ward like, well, I can't fucking hear you, mate. I'm not hearing you shout, so you know. And I just wonder if that's playing a bit of a part in some of the things.
Listen to it because obviously I couldn't have it. I can't have the volume for copyright reasons. So I had no idea. Now somebody actually said, and I think it was at half time when they played it back. Somebody in the chat said Ward shouted. Now, if he shouted, there's a lot of noise, obviously, from the Liverpool fans. Was it not heard? But B, let's say look at that. I could say 99 times out of 100, that ball goes out of play.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's a corner.
It's a pretty safe clearance, right?
Yeah.
Faes hears it, maybe late, and he's committed to doing it. And let's be honest with you, sometimes you pull out of things, you injure yourself. But how often do we say to defenders, just fucking clear it? Whoever's shouting, just stick it in row Z, which in fairness, Faes is usually good at. He doesn't none of this simply pass. He boots it away. And, you know, probably going through his mind, and let's face it, we've seen it from all different angles and got time. He's got literally seconds. He might think, yeah, you've shouted, mate, but I've got this. Let's just get it out the way. Because there's obviously Liverpool players coming in. So I can't really fault Ward either. And I mean, in fact, Doug went to the Ward as his Leicester man of the match. In fairness, I don't know if I would have agreed with that, but I just think it was one of those that Faes thought that this is going into row Z. And like I say, 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, that would have gone into row Z.
I mean, he is a no-nonsense centre-back. And again, you do hear stories from players where they kind of shout something to, you know, and if you look at Wout Faes, he's obviously he is eye on the ball and he's ready to clear it. He isn't thinking what's behind him. And even if maybe he heard the shout and he's already in the motion to try and put it out for a corner or whatever, or maybe he's just thought that could be a Liverpool player trying to scam me a little bit, because players do that. Players do that. If they pick up on a little code word, someone shouts it and you leave it. How much would have Wout Faes got criticised if he'd have pulled out of the interception and then Salah went, thanks very much, mate, that was me. Wow, 1-0 and scored it.
You know, and he doesn't know, like you say, he probably thinks that Liverpool players are chasing him down anyway.
Yeah.
You know, as David said there, he listened after the match with the Leicester team, lcfc.com team, and they said they heard Ward shout. So maybe Fox is Faes still figured, I'm still near the ball, let me try to clear, which is what I said. You know, number one priority is you clear it. Can you imagine if he'd have said, okay, I'll leave it, and he had left it, even if it wasn't Salah that had was shouting it, but he had left it, and then Ward had kind of hesitated maybe, and a Liverpool player had got in and scored, Faes would have been absolutely roasted, you know.
Exactly. And like you said, mate, 1,000 times out of 1,000, that ball goes out for a corner doing that again. So it is what it is. And
the second goal, like I say, I remember Schlupp doing it. And, you know, Jamie Carragher scored 2 own goals at Anfield when they lost 3-2 to Man United. So it's every time Carragher brings it up, it's going to be mentioned about his, so he might not do it very often. Let's have a look because it was a great start. But before we get on to the Dewsbury goal and then the rest of the match, let's have a look. Were you surprised at the team selection? Because I looked at that and thought, where the hell's Tielemans?
I was a little surprised, but more since after the match, I've kind of casted my mind back to when Leicester played Liverpool. And it's actually, I actually thought about it. I thought, well, you know what? Actually, I'm not surprised because we do like to go in with a low block and play two CDMs. I think last year at Anfield and maybe at the home game, the English Mascherano, as Rogers called him, we had Chowdhury and indeed he played, which is defensive-minded midfielders. So when I saw Samare and Ndidi, at first I was a little bit like, oh, Tielemans, that's a surprise. I thought he'd definitely play, but it's something we do quite regularly. It seems when we play these teams, is we try and keep ourselves in the game or hope to find ourselves in a position which we were for 37 minutes of the game where we were in front.
Yes, and I was I did expect a substitute on the 5th minute so that I had another defensive player on and Rodgers try and hold on to the 1-0 win for 95 minutes. But hey, I jest. Now, I did have a bit of a discussion because to me, if a player finishes the previous game and doesn't start the following game, to me, he's dropped. He's dropped to the bench. Apparently, though, I'm wrong because I said Vardy was dropped when I put the team sheet out. But apparently, no, he wasn't dropped because he didn't start the Newcastle game. But for me, I mean, it's being pedantic, as I accused the gentleman of being. I was surprised Vardy didn't start because Daka hadn't had a good game at all, did it? And now obviously he's injured. But I thought,
I know.
I expected Vardy to start it this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. I know for a fact. I think actually Doug said to me that Vardy always seems to score past them.
Yeah.
But sod's law. And again, you talk about small things changing the momentum of the game. I think that was where Liverpool really took control of the possession of the ball when we had to put Vardy on for Daka because Daka wasn't actually having a bad game. He looked lively. He was stretching the Liverpool defence. He was, they were playing a high line and his risk got the reward. And it's so unfortunate for him because you probably felt at that moment that if Leicester could have got second, they would have won that game last night. We would have won last night because we were riding the momentum and Liverpool were very shaky for that first 20, 25 minutes. And it was just so unfortunate. And it's almost worse because you talk about injuries that are occurring on the training ground and we bemoan the training or whatever it is Rodgers got doing. What kickers when I kick you when you're down, he takes 3 steps. He's not sprinting, he's not doing anything, and he pulls up and he's probably done his calf or hamstring or whatever. He's obviously done something. I don't think he was asked in his post-match about Daka, which was normally what you tend to hear, but I haven't heard anything. But you would assume that that's him out for probably January if it's something that's gone in that area, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Leicester City suffer injury blow against Liverpool as forward hobbles off. The goalkeeper Alisson played a short pass to Matip, at which point Daka fell to the ground holding his leg. He hobbled off the pitch near the Liverpool goal and continued to walk gingerly around the pitch. It is not known how serious the injury is. But no, again, typical Leicester Mercury, no disrespect. Yeah. It's a full page of about 3 other stories blown into one. Although David says he did hear Rodgers say it wasn't good, so we will wait to hear. But like I say, when football's like that, when you're down, it kicks you. I mean, we were very lucky the fact that when we had played so bad against Newcastle, that all the teams below us lost. So fingers crossed again for this one. I mean, I still want us to go to up front. I know it will never happen, but I've got to be honest with you. I sat there after I'd got over this sort of, wow, where's Tillemans and how come indeed in Somalia playing together. I sat there and I said to Doug, maybe Rodgers does know a bit about what he's talking about, because we were the better team at the start.
Yeah, definitely. And again, if you think back and if you probably go and check the lineups over the last 3 games against Liverpool, and I'm talking league games, not so much the Carabao Cup games, but you'll probably find that we have played that way against Liverpool, and we've profited from it quite well, actually. To be fair, found ourselves in a similar sort of unlucky result I think we had a few seasons ago, where that dodgy penalty was given to Liverpool and they won the game with like the last 3 minutes. So we always seem to have a plan against this sort of opposition. And you're right, up until we got disrupted with the Daka injury, we was comfortably in control of that game. And I know I unfortunately had to sit in the pub with a few Liverpool fans, but even they turned around and went, if you score again, this is it. We'll lose this game 3 or 4-0. You'll wipe the floor of us the way you're playing. They couldn't believe what they were saying. And they even shook my hand at full time and went, you know what? Somehow we've won that game because we were dire. And they weren't on about Spurs' Eric Dyer either. They meant the performance, not the player.
I mean, overall, when you watch that game, well, I know we all watched the game, but you wouldn't look at that and go, well, one team's 13th and one team's 5th. There was you'd have to question which was which. But I mean, fair play to Thomas, and he has a hell of a lot of criticism. Everybody says send him out on loan. That was what that other guy said as well as putting a Marty at left back, send Thomas out on loan. I'm like, well, who the fuck are we going to play in that position then? Because they're the ones injured. Thomas and Doug made the point when he named him as his probably one of his man of the match for Leicester. He said he kept Salah very, very quiet.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? We have seen that Thomas is quite capable. And, today, last night was a sign of his development, his maturity, because the one thing I've always questioned about Thomas is he seems to lack the mentality to handle the bigger games. With the greatest respect to, teams that he's played well against. But, he played really well. And I think we've got to cut him a little bit of slack. I'm one of them that feels that he's quite unfortunate, because probably when it was optimal for him to go out on loan, like we did with Harvey Barnes, he couldn't go out on loan because he's in the same position now as he was when he played his first game in the first team. We haven't got a left back. We haven't got anybody there to allow him to go out on loan. And it's unfortunate in a way, because I wouldn't want to set his confidence back, but I actually think he would have been a player that had the right players been there for him to allow him to do it. Going on loan would have helped him a little bit, but give him a slap, because he was thrown in at the deep end probably 2 years before. Well, Brendan even admitted it. Brendan even admitted it at the start of his career. 2 years off being ready for Premier League and first team action, and he was having to play every week or most weeks because of injury. So I'm glad to see a very good performance, because I don't like it when we have a performance like we do against Newcastle and we single out individuals, because it was a team poor performance that day. And whilst I think the whole team deserves credit for their effort last night, it's nice to know that when he does play well, he gets noted as well, because he deserved it last night.
He did. Looking at the two of the forwards, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Doug was just basically saying if he never sees him in a Liverpool shirt again, he won't be disappointed. But Nunes, again, whether it was a Marty or Vez, it was in their pockets. And he's not on the best of form at the moment anyway, but I think they could be playing now, and I don't think they would score against us.
No, honestly, they really wouldn't. The Uruguayan Andy Carroll, eh? Who would have thought it?
I love it.
But no, that's probably why they've gone out and signed a 97th forward in that Cody Gakpo, because this one's just not done it, really. He hasn't wowed them. I mean, that Luis Diaz is a far better player than this Nunes, and I just don't get it, because you're right, Chris. And it's so hard. It's weird and mad to kind of say because of how the goals came about. But the defence had an easy afternoon dealing with the Liverpool strike force to a degree. Yes, I know Liverpool had one or two clear-cut chances, but for the majority of that game, they kept what is supposedly one of the most fierce attacking lineup strike forces in the Premier League. Next to the absolute freak that is Erling Haaland. We kept them relatively quiet.
I want to talk. I mean, it was an amazing start by Leicester. I wasn't even picking it up on the screen. I'm like, and I'll turn round, and because I had the graphic on the screen, and I'm watching it on the telly, got the graphic on the screen, and I saw it come up, and I thought, oh God, we've conceded already. And I was so surprised. But he was actually voted by Alan Bennett, who does our man of the match for Leicester Till I Die. He was voted, and I think quite deservedly, as the man of the match. That goal was as good against Liverpool as Almiron's was against us the previous game. He just ran past the defence. The defence, it was like the parting of the Red Sea almost.
Yeah, it was, and it was so good to see somebody just getting their head down, driving at it, and having the confidence to go, you know what? I'm not going to take my foot off the gas and wait for Daka or somebody who's got more goals to pass it to. And he fancied his chances. He was confident himself, and rightly so. And it was a great finish. It's not easy putting one past Alisson 1-on-1, and he did a great job. Although, and you didn't hear this from me, Perez deliberately running 15 yards offside. Love it. Genius. He knew what he was doing, Perez. He wasn't being twat. He wasn't being whack. He knew what he was doing.
But it does distract the defenders, let's be honest with you.
Well, it confused Liverpool, didn't it? Because I think it was Robinson that looked at Perez and kind of went, oh, I don't need to worry about him. He's offside. Then he realised. And then Dewsbury Hall almost went, well, I'm off then, mate, and just waved at him as he ran past him.
I know. And fair play to Perez. He didn't even shout for the ball. He just said, leave me out of this. I'm offside, But I thought he had a very good game, but it was a fantastic start. And would you say man of the match for you from Leicester?
I think there's a few shouts. I think there's a few that went a bit unnoted. But yeah, I mean, since his debut in the first team, Chris, there has probably been no more than 3 times where we have been sat here and not raved about a Dewsbury Hall performance. Yeah. And this is a prime example of giving a player an extra couple of years to develop, because people forget that Dewsbury Hall's 24, I believe now, isn't he? I think he was 23 and now he's 24. That's the difference. He's 3 years older than Luke Thomas is, I believe, if not. So it just shows what that extra couple of years development does to a player, because like I said, minus probably 3 games where he looked a bit off the pace or someone had an absolute belter of a game and we didn't really talk about him. We've always found ourselves talking about this man, and we're talking about Maddison and Tielemans from now until the summer, or until at least Maddison maybe signs a deal. At least we've got a bit more faith, and the future looks a bit bright. Homegrown, Leicester born, bred, loves the club. I'm hoping this is the next 5, 6, 7 years of our midfield that he will take that leadership over from, and it's very promising, because that was another solid performance, and he didn't let the Anfield crowd get to him.
No, he did not at all. I'm just, would you believe? Gray has scored an equaliser against Manchester City. Wow. Well, Man United have beaten Wolves 1-0. Thanks, Man United. Palace have beaten Bournemouth 2-0. Fulham are currently beating Southampton with 95 minutes gone. Man City and Everton are drawing 1-1. Wow. And Newcastle and Leeds is 0-0. Good God. Newcastle got hangover or what?
Yeah, well, they must do if they're not already 4-0 up against the American Soccer United.
Yeah, but well done, like you say, to Dewsbury Hall. Let's just hope that we can hold on to him. I mean, I know we talk stats all the time, and I know they don't always reflect the game, but it's the post-match game, so we do have to have a look at them. We don't have to, but we do because I say so. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, was this the same game? Now, you can get stats from anywhere, and to be honest with you, I've got 2 or 3 stat slides ready. I thought I'd go ahead with the Leicester City ones. Possession, I mean, it's numbers, isn't it? It's almost like a Brexit vote, that. But 21 goal attempts for Liverpool, 7 for Leicester. I don't remember them having that many shots, unless they're all going high, wide, and not very pretty.
I think this is my problem with these sort of for stats in terms of if you judge a game on stats. I'm not saying stats aren't good because they help you kind of back up a statement sometimes. But 21 shots, I think there was a chance that Liverpool had where Leicester got about 4 or 5 blocks in, and that all of them accumulated up together. And honestly, I think Danny Ward made 2 saves. I honestly don't remember Ward having much to do all night apart from go for fuck's sake, wow. Probably once, yeah. But apart from that, honestly, a few block shots, and that's credit to what they worked on in the training ground, because there was a lot of shots in anger from the edge of the box where we were closing them down. So in realistics, in terms of clear cut chances, I think it's probably closer.
I mean, they did only, of those 21, they did only get 24 on target, and we did manage to block 29%, which was the same as they blocked of ours. So I don't think it was bad. But just to run through this, 3 big chances each, apparently. Passes 588 to 488, touches 779 to 640. Tackles 18 to 14 and offsides 2 to 5. But looking at those first 3, the big chances, the passes and the touches, you'd look at that and go, you'd have thought Liverpool would have scored both their goals and won 2-1 comfortably. But to be honest with you, we get. I don't mind losing. I always mind losing. Let me just say that. But that we absolutely played. It was a completely different team and performance to Newcastle, and yet we lost in a freakish way. But had Salah got a brace and we'd lost 2-1, I'd have said, fair enough, guys, you made an effort.
Yeah, exactly. And these ones here are probably a more refined. These are probably stats that I don't mind because they're a lot more refined, because you're looking right there, key chances, 3 each. I think that sums up the games. I mean, Leicester, it wasn't like we had a plethora of chances ourselves, and that clearly shows by the fact that we only had 3 key chances. But it just shows that realistically, in terms of glaring opportunities, we kept them down in numbers, and we were evenly matched. I mean, you're talking a couple of numbers either side of it. You're probably expecting, because it's Liverpool, you're expecting them to make a few more passes, having more in midfield, and we're chasing the game at 2-1. So looking at them stats, it's probably more a fairer representation of the game, because you're going, oh, cagey one, but Liverpool just edged it. And that's exactly how it was. It was a very good game that, unfortunately, they just edged the chances.
Yeah. It's finished Fulham 2, Southampton 1. And Leeds, fair play to Leeds, they held Newcastle at Newcastle to 0-0. Man City and Everton's currently 1-1, but it's still ongoing. I think they're determined to try and hand the title to Arsenal, aren't they? And it does mean, as things stand at the moment, that we still haven't gone down from 13th. We are still at 13th because nobody below us has got a win.
Kings of the 13th, you'll never sing that. Whoa.
But it's looking bad at the moment for Southampton. But before we go on to the individual player ratings, anything you want to discuss regarding the tactics of the formations at all?
It's a difficult one, because I think in hindsight, being a wonderful thing, now we've been able to sit there and see the game. It's, Brendan Rodgers probably got it right. You tend to want to do one ploy at home and a different ploy away from home, and you see the contrast in the way we intended to go against Newcastle for about 30 seconds before they scored. And you saw the difference in intent, the way we played against Liverpool. We were happy to not see the ball against Liverpool, and that typified the goal. We dragged them into our half, and we made them have to push their high defence line up and got in behind for the goal. For me, though, unfortunately, Daka getting injured is a real spanner in my plans to what I would personally change to our shape. And that is, I would personally, because you need a third striker for it, so maybe you need to add an extra body to that shopping list. Maybe a loan just to cover it, I don't know. But I personally would like to see us play a 4-3-1-2. And I would go with the deep line playmaker, a ball winner in Ndidi in the middle. I would have Tillemans on the right hand side of him, Dewsbury Hall on the left hand side, and I would play Maddison as that number 10. And if you want to account for Daka's injury, I would go with Iheanacho and Vardy start. And I know it sounds cruel, but because we haven't got a right winger, or in my opinion, and this is my opinion, I know there's some fans of Perez out there, and I'm not going to say anything else. You cannot play a left winger and a right winger where only one of them is top half Premier League quality, and Perez isn't, unfortunately. We've seen it many times before that Barnes has spoken to Alan Shearer. He wants to improve on his shooting. Why not have Barnes on the bench, as harsh that might sound, but have him kind of train and develop in that number 10/second striker role? So if Maddison needs to come off, he can come on for Maddison, or if Vardy comes off, we've got Barnes. I would go for a 4-3-1-2, and that would be how I would go about getting Barnes still in the squad and involved. I just think it makes us more aggressive.
I've got to ask there, because again, this was another thing that somebody asked about. They asked me a direct question, actually, Samore or Ndidi, and I didn't expect him to play both. You've gone for Ndidi in that lineup there that you've gone. I must admit, and somebody said that Ndidi was the future, but his time has passed. Now I don't think his time has passed at all.
No, it's not passed.
But I just at the moment, I think just Samari is just playing reasonably well enough to hold on to the space for the place for me.
I mean, to be honest, it's just force of habit over the years to say Ndidi. I would be perfectly happy with Samari. I think, you know what? Going back to what you said about man of the match, I think he was an unsung hero. I think he cleared up a lot in that midfield and tried to get us on the front foot. So again, he's a player that is a bit unsung. So yeah, I would be more than happy with it being Samari in the middle. I just think whilst we're so imbalanced on our width, I think we need to hone in on controlling that middle and pushing through. If we can do that, we'll be good. I'd love to see what other people think. I just think that necessarily gives us that progression from sitting deep to going forward. It just happens a bit further and a bit earlier in the pitch.
Yeah. It's finished. 11 minutes of ninja time was played at. Oh! I've just realised. Talking of ninja time. I know it wasn't our game, but no, I don't need an excuse to be able to have to play the Mutant Ninja Turtles, I tell you. 11 minutes was at the LTID, but it has finished there now 1-1. And Leicester, like I say, we literally are only 4 points off Wolves in 18th, but we're still in 13th. Somebody up there is looking, or in fact, you are looking very kindly down on us at the moment, Mr. Christ.
Yes, that I am. I'm the reason they're holding it together. No one else. Thanks very much. I'll take the credit.
Right, we will be back and we'll be judging the players individually straight after this.
Hi, This is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Have you been naughty or nice?
How dare you break wind before me?
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't know it was your turn.
I'm loving it.
And thank you very much to Brad there for the sound effects. Right. We've all felt like that after a plate full of turkey and stuffing, haven't we? Right, so let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the option, obviously, as I always do, to say what you're going to go for. But then I will tell you what the, if I can find it, what the Leicester Mercury points were given. And I just can't find those at the moment, which is typical.
I bet Vardy got an 8.
Well, at one point, Danny Ward was winning the BBC one as it was the game was going on, but I'm not sure where he finished on the BBC. But let's have a look and just, oh, for God's sake, talk me through Danny Ward while I'm just having a look.
This one's weird because it all depends. It all depends on your opinion and speculation and on if it was communication. Is it bad luck? Is it just one of those? People might say it's only a 5 because, it's his fault. He should have been louder. And some might say you can't help that Wout Faes doesn't listen or whatever. Regardless of that, I actually think he had a very solid game. He commanded his box. He collected corners well. I'm giving him a 7, Chris. I think what he could control, he did well at. I'll put it that way. That's the best way I think I can word his performance. What he could actually control, he did well. Yeah. So a 7 for me.
We'll give him a 7, not a problem. He got 6 from the Leicester Mercury.
I was almost there.
Yeah, he got lucky when his first half clearance hit Salah. He did. We did get away with that one.
Oh no, it was the only way Liverpool were going to score a goal themselves, weren't it?
Well, exactly. I mean, the thing is, and I said, well, I hope he learns from that and doesn't do it again, and he didn't during the game. So that's all we can ask for. Our Belgium, Timothy Castagna, or one of our Belgians.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in Castagna. Defensively, I think he did okay, although he got done for pace and a bit of strength sometimes on that left-hand side. In fact, Marty and others had to go out there and double up at some points during the game. He seems to have lost his aggression in kind of cutting in, which he used to do a bit. I remember that game against West Brom and Man City. He was cutting in and getting, I think he got a couple of goals in that little run and that. But I don't know if that's an instruction thing or not, but he just seems to have lost that impetus and flair a little bit. I'm going to give him a 6, though.
You were going to give him a 6. Okay, sir. Which is exactly what the Mercury gave him.
Oh, Leicester Mercury, Emma a week. I'll take the job. Don't worry about it.
Daniel Amati.
You know what? I've said it. I rate him. I think he's more than good enough to be a part of this Leicester squad. Whether come next year that will be as a first team or as a squad player, that we'll see. But right now, I'm fairly happy and confident when I see him in a starting 11. I'm going to give him a 7.
A 7. He got a 5 from the Mercury.
Yeah, talking out your arse, Mercury. You don't know what you're watching.
You could be saying that again in a second because we're looking at the 2-goal man. Got a brace. Unfortunately, he wasn't facing the right way when he got him. Wout Faes.
Yes, some say he's the Leicester Marwan Fellaini. Others say he's the Belgian France Sinclair. All we know is normally 9 times out of 10 is more than reliable. I kind of want to give him a sympathy 7, but unfortunate or not, them mistakes you get punished for being a goalkeeper or a defender in them scenarios. I'm gonna give him a 5.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what the Mercury said. A horror show. Most own goals are unfortunate, but Faze was entirely at fault for his pair, particularly the first. Wow. In which he ignored Ward's call. He was wobbly thereafter, playing Salah onside for one big chance and failing to clear for another. He looked devastated at full time. Wow. That sounds very harsh.
I can't say anything because me and Matt Piper are friends. So if he's wrote that, me and him are best buddies, as you know. So I can't say anything bad about it.
Well, it's not. This is Jordan Blackwell, and he's
well, Jordan, you're talking rubbish, mate. I can say that now. I'm joking.
He gave him 2.
Oh, that's very harsh.
Yeah,
that is very harsh.
Yes, it's almost playing to the crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, God. Okay, Luke Thomas.
I'm going to give him a 7. You know, we've said it. We've been his biggest critic at times. I've been one that said he's showing that he's still developing and still, you know, jumping in at the deep end. But, you know, Liverpool, and he turned up. He played really well. He played a good part in the goal, I believe, in the build-up, in the midfield. He sprung the ball into the middle. Good game for him. 7, dear. Very deserved. Very deserved.
I agree with you. I've agreed with you with all of these, to be honest with you, so far. Mercury gave him 6.
Well, this Jordan Blackwell, he's not me, so it doesn't matter. We don't care for
that. Indeedy. How many would you give him?
It was a weird one because I didn't really hear his name on it, and I think Liverpool came at such a fast pace that anything that he did do happened in a split second. You didn't really get a chance to maybe admire it. But again, up until that freak own goal, the midfield really dominated the game, and I'm going to give him a 6 because although he was a little bit quiet, I don't think he did a lot wrong because Liverpool didn't do too much at a lot of points that game. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 6.
I'm going to give him a 6.
Give him an 8 if you want.
Mercury, 7 from the Mercury and Jordan. Given more freedom to chase Liverpool players rather than shield the back four, he was able to have a big impact on his return. He was biting at the ankles in the best way. But he's 6'7", you know, there's no, you know, real, you know, he 6 of one and half to the other, no pun intended. Boubakary Soumaré.
I've been ever impressed with him since he's been given a new lease of life at Leicester. I mean, we've said that about a couple of players at this club, you know, from obscurity to looking like he was leaving after 12 months to probably one of our most reliable centre defensive players. Done a sterling job when indeed he's not been available, and he's currently been keeping about the team. You know, this is the first time they've both played together, I believe, in the league game. They might have done in a cup game. I'm not too sure.
I don't remember them being together, which is why I was very surprised to see it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there was one player that I have to give a mention to. When you see that many midfielders, I do feel a bit sorry that Dennis Pratt didn't at least get on the pitch, but that's a whole different topic. But no, reliable. I'm going to match him up with his midfield partner. I'm going to give him a 6. Very, very good, very tidy in his work. Went about his day, and you know, like most of them, very, very unfortunate to be on the losing side.
I think that's the first one you've actually agreed with Jordan, and he said he's definitely getting better. He moved the ball. With
See, me and Jordan were best mates.
You are now, are you?
Yeah, I'm not a hypocrite.
Things change, don't they?
Yeah, I know. Just call me the Leicester Piers Morgan, mate, without the idiocy.
Oh, don't get me on that. We've had so many discussions about that over the Christmas and the New Year. Then we're looking at Alan Bennett's man of the match, Mr. Dewsbury Halser.
We've spoke about him no end this season. It seems like we're running out of plaudits for him. He's been that impressive. He took the goal well. He doesn't look afraid. He looks really up for it. He's one of our own. If he gets an 8, he was by far and away just brilliant. he never gave that game up. Even in the 93rd minute, he ran himself into the ground for the cause, and it's great to see.
Yeah. And again, I think that's the second one where you have agreed with Mr. Blackwell, who basically says, excellent. Now then, Mr. Perez sits back and hides under the table.
Well, you know what to say. Some people say, God loves a trier. You know what? I've got to give credit where it's due. He might not be the best. Well, I say he might not be. Personally, I think he's not the best. He's to me, I think a Southampton would more suit him for his level. No, sorry, Southampton fans.
I would say that you were one of his biggest fans.
Oh yeah, me and Perez go way back.
Yes.
But you know what? He puts an effort in. When at least he tries. He might not be very good at what he tries at times, but he tries. And for that reason, I'm actually going to give him. I'm going to give him a 6. I was torn between a 6 and a 7.
Like a clapometer, this, isn't it? Like, hey,
yeah.
Hey, you're going to give him a 6 again.
Yeah.
This is getting boring now. You're agreeing once again with Jordan Blackwell. Patson Daka didn't really have a lot of time to impress, did he?
No, he didn't. And if you're going to rate him for that 20 odd minutes that it was before he had to come off, I'm not exactly sure what minute it was that he came off. I know it was fairly early. I don't think you can give him a rating because he came off. He looked lively, but he only played 20 minutes before he had to come off. And if I'm basing it off 20 minutes, it's probably a 3. So I don't really want to give him a rating on that. So I'm going to give him. Let's put him in the middle. Put him on a 5 because he doesn't. He was very unfortunate. You know, he's out injured. It's been a bit of probably more of a horror for him and a setback. I'll give him a 5. I think it's fair.
Indeed, and Jordan says he produced a lovely touch. Of course, he did. It was an assist from him for the goal, I believe.
Yes.
Hamstring injury off the ball, of course. He gave him a 6. Mr. Barnes, sir.
I feel sorry for Barnes because at the start of the season, we were talking about how teams are obvious that Leicester play down the left, so they were doubling up, sometimes even putting 3 men around him. And the same sort of happened with Liverpool. Once Liverpool, by hook or by crook, found themselves in front, he seemed a bit isolated. And that's why, for me, I would maybe look to try and move him into a different role, go as that second striker sort of thing, because I think it frees him up. He can still drift out wide and pick up that ball, but he's going to be notoriously going through the middle. And I think we don't exploit his direct pace enough. So I'm going to give him a 6 because, yet again, unfortunately for me, Liverpool ended up locking him out the game a little bit because he was a bit restricted staying on that left-hand side.
He got a 5 off Mr. Blackwell. And the 3 substitutions, Jamie Vardy.
I'm gonna give Vardy a 6. I know it was offside in the end, but he made that run that played him Barnes that could, had he been on side and scored, it would have been we'd no doubt be talking about a well-earned point. But he still does what it is. He gave us that extra bit of intensity when it was lacking a bit. You could see what we're going to miss. We are going to miss it when that day does come. But I've got to give him a 6 because, he just kept going. He just did Jamie Vardy as it was.
Jordan gave him a 5 and it was quite scathing of him, to be honest with you. I was quite surprised there. Mr. Tielemans.
I don't remember Tielemans doing too much. I don't know if he was sat a bit further back, trying to stop Liverpool get a third to allow us to try and hit them on the break. You could maybe look at that and say there's not really a lot he can do when he's been asked to sit deep. I give him a 4 though. I didn't really notice him come on, to be honest with you. I didn't really notice him on the ball.
4. 5 from Jordan, but he agrees with you. He perhaps didn't have the impact Rodgers had hoped for. He played a few nice passes, but nothing to really split the Liverpool defence. And Kelechi Iheanacho.
I'm gonna give him a 4, but I don't think he had the worst of appearances. I mean, you're 2-1 down against Liverpool. They're controlling it. You're not really going to see much of the ball with how they play. But by Christ, if we can't fix it in January, I feel sorry for Kelechi because he needs to be on that pitch in the front too. Because we did see, yet again, we saw sparks of what he's capable of when he's got a strike partner.
Yes. He's doing. He got 5 off Jordan, who again was critical of him. He hogged the ball a little too much. He didn't move it quickly enough. Not being on the same wavelength as Barnes cost City a good chance. Wow. He got out of bed the wrong side, didn't he, a bit, Jordan, on this one?
Yeah, good about it. I mean, first off, he's giving welfare 0s and 1s and 2s, and now he's kicking in the sub bench while they're down.
I know. Oh God, it's like yeah. Go and have a drink. Maybe the rest of us were just relieved to get a decent performance after Newcastle. But anyway, we're just going to clear the screens, and again, we will be straight back after this.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Happy New Year.
God, it was too quick for me. I should have played. There we go. I should have played a longer jingle. Let's just see what people were saying in the chat. Matty's in. Good afternoon, Matty. Just drew with Leeds. Our worst performance of the season for sure. Longstaff and Chris Wood can join Leicester for free. Like I say, mate.
You know what? I would take Chris Wood back. I would take him back to sit on the bench. I mean that in the night. Honestly, Chris, stick him on the bench. He can't do no worse than having only one striker on the bench this season if Dak is out for 2 months.
That's a fair point. Tell you what, Matty, we'll take Chris Wood off for you if you want to swap him for Mr. Perez.
Yeah, and for fuck's sake, Matty, could you not have put in your worst performance on Boxing Day?
I know. That was a bit like, not only has Matty stuck the knife in there, but I do think he's twisting it a little bit as well.
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But, oh, well, Matty, someone else will have to do it for us.
Big Ant's in. Big up Chris and Brad. Happy New Year to you both. A happy New Year to you as well, Anthony. Hope the missus is getting on well with the Femfresh. He said he's told Brad he's man of the match. Knowing Anthony, it's probably something sarcastic like Perez.
Yeah, I ain't saying nothing.
How did Bristol City get on, by the way, Anthony? For me, Kieran Dewsbury was man of the match, says David. Close second, Thomas. I agree. David says, I didn't feel sorry for Thomas. Sorry for Barnes, sorry. He had too many chances to run past Arnold, and he chose not to. Sorry, he is too infuriating for me. Does the same damn thing over and over and did nothing. Ooh,
no, I know, and David's right. I was a little bit frustrated with him as well because sometimes, it is almost like he switched off because he wasn't able to get the ball or get down there, and that's why, David, I said I maybe think we need to freshen up his role within the team and use his direct pace because as a striker at number 10, he's running at the goal directly and not having to decide to cut in. He maybe needs something to freshen him up because I use the word feeling sorry for him because sometimes he gets isolated and gets ganged up on because we can't go down the right because we have Perez on the right. But I get where David's coming from.
Yeah. Kicking off in 5 minutes, Anthony, Brighton versus Arsenal. After Man City drawing, I would imagine you've got the champagne out in the Arsenal dressing room because they like to celebrate early, don't they? It's called premature celebration, I believe.
They're getting early and early season. It was February when we won it. Now it's bloody December.
Yeah. Of course, it is a problem, premature celebration, as indeed is premature ejaculation. And I went to my clinic about that today. It's tomorrow, apparently.
For God's sake.
I'm going to give myself one of these. Only because I've not done it yet today, but I'm going to give myself one of these. Scott is in. Good evening, Scott. How the devil are you? And I've just lost his comment. Let me get it back. It's up there. Good evening, all. Hope you're all good as can be, as good as can be. Yeah. David, to me, neither Yuri or Nacho did much to improve us. So at most a 5 for both. Well, I've got to be honest with you. I was going to say that is it for the year that saw the Meghan and Harry documentary come out. But for those that haven't seen it yet, you can also on Channel 4, on all 4 catch up, watch the Rooney versus Vardy court proceedings. And I've got to be honest with you, it had Michael Sheen in it, and it was bloody rubbish. Absolutely. 2 hours of my life I won't get back. Tell you what, I'd sooner watch us play Newcastle again rather than having to watch the 2 hours.
I tell you what, in the summer we should just stick all 4 of them in the jungle, shouldn't we? So I'm a celebrity, so I'm a footballer. I'm a footballer's wife. Get me out of here.
Or I'm a footballer's wife. Leave them in there.
Yeah, maybe.
But what is coming up next?
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
I think for both of us it's having a drink, but Monday night at 9 o'clock we will be for the Prediction League, which I'm going to go off and top up now with the games that have been played today. Brad had a good week last week, and it would be remiss of me not to mention that, especially after he picked Belgium to win the World Cup.
I knew you were going to that one. I knew you was going there.
Well, you can't get any praise, when you're doing so bad in the other ones. Brad, have a great New Year, mate, and I will see you Monday at 9. Have a great celebration down there with your family. Like you say, it's St Ives. It's the porn capital of the South Coast, I believe. I don't know where I've read that.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. And it's been good to come back on, even though I can't help but not do these shows. So no. I do love doing a nice post match. I'll be looking forward to keeping my predictions trophy. Get that shine up for me, mate, and I'll come and collect it in the new year. I'll do an Arsenal. I'll come and get it before I've won it.
I tell you what, I will spit on it and rub it just for you. On that note, it is a good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
Good night.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Happy New Year.
Thank you for watching. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I Die TV. They think it's all over. It is now.